Oh my God, it's happening. Jimmy Kimmel is out at ABC. The unfunniest man on television is now just the unfunniest man because he's no longer on television.
Breaking news. Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended indefinitely by ABC after remarks he made in his recent monologue about the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
About fucking time, Hollywood just learned the hard way that accountability culture is not the same as cancel culture. You run your mouth, you push the rhetoric that fuels hate, then you act shocked when the consequences show up at your doorstep. Jimmy Kimmel thought it was funny to make disgusting remarks about Charlie Kirk's assassination. ABC pulled the show indefinitely. Finally, long overdue. Don't confuse this with some social media mob canceling somebody for a comment 10 years ago, because that's cancel culture. This is accountability. Man lost his life, his wife is burying him, and a child is asking where her father is. And meanwhile, late night clowns like Jimmy Kimmel were laughing. That shit doesn't fly anymore. Hollywood has been feeding this poison for years, thinking that they're untouchable. Well, no more. The era of hiding behind laugh tracks and studio applause is over.
Now, to be fair, Jimmy Kimmel didn't celebrate the act like we saw many people do across social media. He actually acknowledged that it was a terrible and tragic situation. But then he said this: "We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. What I think happened is pretty simple. Jimmy Kimmel was once widely liked and accepted. I don't think most people cared enough about his political stance to just quit watching altogether. Even though the show hasn't been nearly as popular as it used to be. Chances are to the network, this wasn't really about the mistake itself, but rather him not realizing the gravity of the joke he was making, considering the situation. Networks don't like risks, especially when advertisers are watching, but hey, you might disagree, and that's fine. Drop your thoughts in the comments."
So let me get this straight. Jimmy Kimmel is being suspended indefinitely for comments that he made, right? In other words, you could say that Jimmy Kimmel is being suspended indefinitely for exercising his First Amendment right of freedom of speech. He is being persecuted by the powers that be for just speaking and having a difference of opinion. But I've been told for many, many years, and especially very recently, that I shouldn't be upset with when someone displays a difference of opinion because they're just exercising their freedom of speech. So make it make sense. Which is it? Can you use your freedom of speech, or can you only use your freedom of speech if it suits a certain narrative? Can you express certain differences of opinion, but only if it supports a certain narrative? Make it make sense.
And here's what people still don't get. Freedom of speech is primarily meant to protect individuals from censorship and retaliation by the government, not from your employer. If what you say hurts your company's reputation or threatens to drive away advertisers, your boss has every right to pull you. That's not censorship. That's business.
Way overdue, ABC and Disney. I guess a late thank you, but did you know that Jimmy Kimmel Live actually averaged 1.1 million viewers per episode as of August 2025, with a rating of, get this, 0.35%. The show has seen fluctuations in audience with a notable decrease of 11% per month. I mean, doesn't this say enough? Why wasn't he canceled before? Are they just using this as an excuse, or is it really a turning point for ABC and Disney where they have to bring back just a little common decency to its viewers? I'm just wondering. For me, anybody that sponsored Disney, ABC, or Jimmy Kimmel needs to be boycotted. At least I don't support them. Everything is money to the left and liberals. So stop buying products that sponsor hate, divisiveness, and encouraging young extremists. I said what I said. Bye-bye, Jimmy. Have a great one.
Now, some people thought this might have been a temporary thing, but then came the announcement from ABC that Jimmy Kimmel will be replaced. The reality is simple. Jimmy Kimmel just fast-tracked what was already a sinking ship. Ratings are down. Audiences are tuning out. And the comedy that once connected just doesn't land anymore. Here's what I think is the bigger issue. When Kimmel suggested the shooter was MAGA, millions of people heard that. And once you hear that kind of framing from a figure you watch every night, it sticks. I can guarantee you a large part of his audience walked away convinced the shooter was a Republican.
You've probably seen the breaking news by now that Jimmy Kimmel has been placed on indefinite leave from his show for making comments about the political leanings of the shooter on Monday night. If you are a MAGA ding-dong that can't think for 2 seconds about the implications of this, you probably think this is a win. I've already had people in my comments on my other posts saying, oh, Jimmy Kimmel got canned, yay. But because you can't understand the implications of things, you have no idea what this actually means. A couple quick things I'd like to say now, we'll talk about this more later, but number one, this kind of illustrates what I've been talking about, where an employer might have terminated you for your comments, but it's actually not about the comments at all. They've just been looking for an opportunity to get rid of you. Because the reality is that Trump has been pressuring ABC to can Jimmy Kimmel for a while now, and they haven't had a basis to do it. And then suddenly Jimmy Kimmel says something and they're like, oh, here's the time. Now we can put him on indefinite leave. And why does Ding Dong Donald want to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel? Because Jimmy Kimmel has been critical of Donald Trump forever. Donald Trump has been bragging in his social media post for months that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be next. Not only does this create evidence of pretext, it also proves that the government was involved, which then does turn it into a First Amendment speech issue, because ABC wasn't putting him on administrative leave and potentially terminating him solely for business, like their own opinions. They were being pressured to do so by the government. They're just giving us more and more evidence to argue that these Charlie Kirk firings are actually being directed by the government. So thanks.
Let's be honest here for a second. Is it really the government that got Jimmy Kimmel fired? Or is it the fact that for years now, his show has been on a fast-track decline? Just look at the numbers. In 2025, Kimmel averaged just over 1 million viewers a night. Compare that to the days when he was pulling in nearly 2 million. That's a drop you can't ignore. The truth is, late-night TV has been bleeding viewers for years, and Jimmy Kimmel is no exception. Ratings are down, the audience has moved on, and let's not forget that we've all seen what happens when actors or celebrities go against the woke agenda, or when they speak boldly about their faith in Jesus. Hollywood has blackballed plenty of people for less.
Jimmy Kimmel's throwing tantrums after ABC booted him, pacing like a comic who just bombed and still wants the mic back. He's cussing, threatening to ditch the network, acting like he's the victim. Nah, you talk slick, you got clipped. Late night host turned hallway crybaby. And the only standing ovation he's getting now is from security walking him out.
A part of me thinks maybe Kimmel knew the consequences and just didn't care. In conclusion, were his statements very irresponsible given what we all know now? Yes. Is he in my personal top 5 list of people who said some extremely atrocious things about the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Not really. Regardless, there's a lesson to be learned here for sure.
Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.